All right, everybody, welcome to the Say Her Name DocuSeries presented by the Advocacy and Awareness Group of Johnson County. Ladies, we're talking about topic 3 now, which is going to be experiences. So they're kind of already coming out naturally from the last two topics, but I definitely want to know kind of what experiences, good or bad, just impactful experiences you all have had in Johnson County. And I want to start with Sharon, since you had mentioned having an experience before where you felt like you had to defend yourself and your family with the school district. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, my children, my three children, all went through the Blue Valley School District, and it's a great school district. Like,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong about that.
Right.
But there were times where I felt like I had to advocate for the needs of my child based on what they were telling me they needed and what they needed to experience.
Right.
For instance, there were times where I felt like my kids were being pigeonholed on a certain path or direction in terms of classes and courses, and where I knew, and they knew as well, that they had the capability to maybe experience a higher level class, but they were being told by their counselors or a principal or whoever that that they needed to go this particular path. So there are times where I had to actually say, no, my child can do this. And we even had some instances where my oldest son, for instance, he was pretty accelerated in math. And the math classes that he was taking at the high school weren't working for him. So we had to just kind of go around and have him take some classes at the junior college to make sure that his needs were met.
Wow.
And just different types of situations where I thought that, you don't know the best needs of my children. I am talking to my children. I see their capability. And I think, and it may not necessarily be a racial thing, but I felt to a certain extent, maybe there is some truth to, maybe not being aware or or not really aware, but really not acknowledging that maybe perhaps that there's some areas where Black children can excel.
Wow. Was this a situation where the accelerated math classes were at capacity, or?
No.
Okay, so, wow.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if there was no seats in the class.
Right. It was just, well, maybe you shouldn't go that direction right now.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'll speak, from experience I had recently. So I'd mentioned this organization started in response to the murder of George Floyd, and I wanted to see a suburban area, a majority white area, support the Black and brown communities in our neighborhoods. So because of that, we have the AAGJC, but our very, very, very first event before the organization even formed was something called the Overland Park Advocacy and Awareness Peace March and Rally, which we were honored to have Stacy speak at. And one of the things that I was really, really honestly shocked to experience is two things. I have a good experience and I have a bad experience. So the first is that I sent one email to the city manager of Overland Park, and that individual assisted me with getting city council members and committee members and organizations on board to make this event happen. Now, do I wish that Overland Park had the event on their own without having to bring it up? Yes, I do. But I'm, regardless, super, super happy for the support I was able to get from people who don't look like me and who are in positions of power and can say no. So that was a really good thing. And I'm glad to not only say that I had the support of the city, but I also had the support of the community. So I don't know if any of you were able to see kind of the aftermath and what that event was able to garner, but we had over 300 people show up, all with masks on.
It was awesome.
In a very, very safe way. But
It felt like more than 300.
yes, it did. It did. So we had about 300 people show up to that event and say that, in this community, Black Lives Matter. In this community, we support you. In this community, we're here for you. And that's not to mention all of the people who have homes on Santa Fe Drive where we marched. There were people on the corner in front of their homes,
Honking, waving,
passing out
signs.
water,
Yeah, I love
waving,
that.
saying thank you for marching and being here. People driving down Santa Fe and honking and supporting. That day, I felt like I mattered. And so that was a really great experience. Now, on the other side of the coin, I dealt with some challenges. So when we began to start planning it, right, it was really important for me and a colleague of mine who was associated with the Downtown Overland Park Partnership at that time. It was really important for us to introduce ourselves to the businesses and the owners in the area to let them know that we would be taking up some space in the Downtown Overland Park area on the day of this event. That event being the Overland Park Advocacy and Awareness Peace March and Rally. So as we did kind of go door to door in the Downtown Overland Park area, we had some people that said, wow, thank you. Can we put your flyers up? And then we had others that really just didn't want to take the time to listen. I found out later that there were a lot of, there were a handful, and maybe if you were at the event you didn't notice because there was already a lot of people there, but there were a handful of businesses in the area that said, we're not going to be open. There are going to be riots. There's going to be violence, and we don't want that. So I'm surprised there weren't any windows boarded up at that point. But there were businesses where we encouraged them to say, hey, we're going to have people in the area. They may need a coffee. They may need a muffin. They may need some pie.
Right?
Right. It's a business. Good for business.
Yeah, right? And instead of taking that opportunity to partner, they took that opportunity to say, we're afraid and we're going to run and we're not going to support this. Now, why? Why is the question? Why did they feel that this event was going to result in violence? And the short answer is because it was organized by a Black woman. And because, people, again, don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
You make an assumption about seeing other Black women who are responding to the murder of George Floyd and people like that on the TV, and they're a little upset. But I would argue to say they have a right to be. And so even if I did show up to the Overland Park Peace March and Rally, and I was angry and frustrated and said my piece about it, I feel like I have a right to do that.
Absolutely.
But the groups here, there were a select few people that made the assumption that me being a Black woman, that I was going to show up to the event and invoke anger and violence and
And girl, that's the thing. We brought our kids.
we brought our children.
And this was for us, and I don't know about you guys, this was almost a celebration in light of something negative. It
Yes.
was like, it wasn't supposed to be, all right, baby, we're going to go out there and explain to people that we are Black, okay, that we are here, we're going to tear some stuff up. It was an opportunity for me to have a conversation with my daughter, that there are things going on in the world. She was 4. She kind of went over her head. She thought it was a party. But it was an opportunity for us to have a positive conversation about being Black in America, and that there's things going on and people don't like us for our color of our skin, where our ancestors are from, and things like that. She's like, okay, whatever. But why, and I think this is the question that you're asking, is just like, why does a person have to push fear when all we're looking for is equity and inclusion? Be seen, be heard, have a place in our community. And it just makes me really sad to think that people were willing to board up or potentially board up their places
close
or
their
not take a
businesses, yeah.
flyer. We I didn't make this known to my kid, but there were some people that were flipping us off as they drove by.
Yep. Yeah.
Thanks for your opinion. I'm still walking.
Yeah.
I'm still marching.
Yeah.
And the spirit that we had was, you were singing. We were singing together. People put time in to make these awesome signs. So is my presence that intimidating?
Yeah.
I commend you for not allowing someone else with more power to lead this. You said, no, it's going to be my face and my name at the bottom of every email. And in collaboration with some other amazing people who may not be people of color. But I love the fact that you didn't pass that baton and expect another person who might have had more power or more voice or be famous or something like that to come in. And now, I don't know, I would like to thank you for that opportunity because it was a party to me. It was a party.
You know, and I think I like, you know, what you said, you know, about like, is my presence a threat? Like, does my presence incite fear? And, you know, to quote kind of one of the things I said in the speech that I had at the beginning, being Black is not a threat. Being Black is not a crime. And so something I want to tell the people watching at home is that you do not have to be afraid. You do not have to be afraid of Black men, Black women, Black people running in your neighborhood, Black people who walk past your car in the parking lot at the store. You don't have to lock your doors.
Right.
And that is something that I think over time can and will change in Johnson County. But one of the ways in which we're bringing awareness to that is being here today. So you kind of talked about it. I want to know from all of you, in this community, do you feel seen or do you feel overlooked? So for seen, if you feel seen, raise your hand.
Well, I mean, I might cheat because I just ran for office. And
Yes,
So I feel like
tell us about that.
Right? How
myself out there
amazing
in a
is
big
that?
way.
Tell us about that.
So I just, in the last election cycle, ran for the Kansas State Senate in District 9, which is part of Olathe, then it goes all the way out to DeSoto and Gardner to the county line. So when you talk about do I feel as though I belong, I sort of had to blindly shove myself out there and kind of like, I can't worry about whether or not if I feel like I belong here, if this is a space where I'm welcome, this is the space where I'm going to place myself.
Right.
So I wanted to comment even about that rally that you organized, because I've been to a lot of rallies, I've been to a lot of marches. Literally in 2016, I laminated my protest sign and sort of just kept it in my car. And it was well organized. I was very impressed. And I also brought my children, and I don't always bring my children to protests for various reasons.
Right.
I have not always brought my children to protests, but I did bring my children to that because it wasn't a protest, it was a rally. Like it was
Right.
a celebration,
Rally.
it was a party,
Celebration.
right? It
Rally.
was the whole everything about it was very different. My experiences running for office in Johnson County as a Black woman in a district that encompassed Gardner and DeSoto it was interesting because there was even that summer a Black Lives Matter rally march in Gardner.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and because the man who organized a lot of the rallies that took place in Kansas City, Missouri, lives in Gardner.
Oh.
So when the thing that I learned in my experience in running for office is there really are Black people everywhere in Johnson County. I knocked doors in Gardner, and every once in a while, I'd knock on a door, and a Black person would open the door, and I would just be like, "Hi, I'm running for office," So there really are Black people everywhere, and I think I love that you organized that rally, because I think it goes back to that you can't be what you don't see. Or even me running for office, whether I understood this very clearly, whether I won or lost, I'm like, I need to run and put my picture on everything, and I need to go knock doors, and I need to go to rallies and speak and be as blatantly Black. My cousin has a shirt that says "Blackity Black Black." I need to be Black, right?
Yes.
And talk about the Crown Act, and talk about criminal justice reform, and talk about issues that impact our community, so that people come out,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
know, okay, I need to get involved. I need to do things to show that being Black in America, there's being Black in America, but that we are just members of the community as well.
Yeah.
We care about our schools, we care about our healthcare, we care about our environment. We don't want to get, could you please not shoot us? Right. But we still are members of this community, right?
Right.
And so I think it felt important to me. It was always in the background that I was aware that I was running for office, and that it was never far from my brain. I am a black woman running for office in Johnson County. I'm glad to report, and I don't know if it goes back to the Midwest nice, which I think there's a hefty dose of, because
Yes.
I found that there was very little Midwest nice in St. Louis. St. Louis was a whole nother area for me, but I did not even have very many bad experiences knocking doors, even in Gardner. I had one experience where I was like, I'm going to leave this man's porch. And I did have one experience in Olathe where I was like,
I'm out.
I'm out. And got into the car with the person who was driving with me and said, leave, 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 leave. We need to get out of here right now. And interestingly enough, I found that, and maybe it's because I was running, a lot of white people were very concerned for me.
Right.
For example, knowing that I was going to knock doors in Gardner, my next door neighbor, who was a white man, was like, I am going to go with you every single time.
Talk about fear.
So he was more afraid for me than I think I was. I had to sort of get over my fear. To even attempt this, I had to just say, all right, this is what I'm called to do. I'm going to do it. This is what I'm doing. But he was like, if you ever go, call me, I will go. So he went with me, and I think because he even said, like, I am doing this because I don't want you to go to Gardner by yourself. A lot of people were like, please don't go knock doors by yourself. Not only as a woman, don't knock doors by yourself. But if I'm going into, parts unknown, there was very much so a concern
Right.
of take people with you.
Yeah.
Take people with you. I had to just decide. I had to just decide to go ahead, right? I had to just go, okay, if this goes south, it's going to go south. But I'm doing this for reasons of, my kids came to the rally, and I wanted them to see, mommy's going to do hard things. And I would tell them that, like, this is hard, and they watched it up close. But you have to do hard things, right? I watched my parents do hard things. I think we've all watched our parents do hard things. So my hard thing was just on a little louder scale, losing my microphone. But to say that, yes, this is something that I need to do. But it was interesting that there were plenty of white people who were afraid for me too.
Right. Right.